said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, here I was enjoying a beautiful weekend of MAGA melting down.
To Laura Loomer, and why is he bringing her around with him?
Well, as President Trump said yesterday, this individual does not work for the campaign. She's simply a supporter of the president, and he doesn't.
Does he denounce those statements specifically?
President Trump denounced those statements yesterday when he said he does not agree with all of the comments that this individual has made. President Trump went to the
Green. Should we expect then, given what you just told me, that we won't be seeing any more of Laura Loomer on the campaign trail with President Trump?
Look, as I said repeatedly now, President Trump does not agree with all of the statements that were made by this individual. President Trump has been...
Is that a no? That Laura Loomer won't be traveling?
I will leave it to President Trump, but as I have said to you, she is not a part of this campaign. She is not an official staffer. She is a supporter.
F you, Taylor Swift.
And I mean, really enjoying it.
We are losing our country because of big tech election interference. And I am pleading with the Republican Party to please start taking this issue seriously. Please. Because the American people deserve representation. And that's why I ran for Congress in 2020. It's why I ran for Congress in 2022. And it's why I'm going to keep fighting for all of you.
When I get an alert out of nowhere,
some pretty important breaking news to share, and this is per a source familiar. I'm reading the release. Shots were heard on Trump's golf course where he was playing in West Palm Beach, Florida. Trump was out golfing when it took place and was immediately rushed to a safe place. He is safe and fine. This is all per a source familiar with this. And I just want to note NBC News has not yet independently verified that there were gunshots fired while Trump was at the golf course. They are trying to confirm that right now. You're seeing the official statement from Stephen Chung, the campaign director. It reads, President Trump is safe following gunshots in his vicinity. No further details at this time. So again, we are getting word that he was out golfing and was immediately rushed to a safe place. This took place at his golf course in West Palm Beach, Trump International Golf Course.
The former president posted on social media last night that he was rushed to safety during the incident, stating, quote, "It was certainly an interesting day." He also thanked Secret Service and law enforcement, writing in all capital letters, quote, "The job was done absolutely outstanding." Officials say Trump was playing a round of golf near his Mar-a-Lago home and around 2 p.m. when Secret Service agents spotted a rifle with a scope in the bushes outside the course.
And they spotted it. What happens is that the golf course, for those who know the area, the golf course is on two very active streets. There's a huge perimeter. And so what the Secret Service do, not only now, but when Donald Trump was president, they would advance the holes and they would go a couple of holes ahead of the president to make sure that the coast was clear. And as you'll hear here, even though some of the press conference wasn't as clear as it should have been, left some questions open. What happened was the Secret Service went a couple of holes ahead of the president, former president, and they saw a rifle sticking out. They fired shots, and then the man ran away, and he got caught soon after. But the Secret Service, though, did as horrible of a job as they did in Butler. As Lindsey Graham said, they're overworked, they're exhausted, they don't have a life of their own, they need more resources. And yes, they do need more resources. In this case, though, as Donald Trump said, they did an outstanding job. Something I haven't said of the Secret Service, certainly after Butler, in a very long time.
Well, take a listen.
Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tank, which was great. In the bushes where this guy was is a AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro. which he was going to take pictures of.
So the tip from that witness helped lead to an arrest. The man was taken into custody and was identified as 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh, according to 3 senior law enforcement officials. His identity was not released during yesterday's news conference.
Now,
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
well, you know what? Let's go off what we know. Well, for one thing, mysteriously, Routh's social media accounts started disappearing, which is extremely weird. I mean, why scrub the records? He is who he is. I mean, do they scrub social media for other crimes? Now, let me find out that I've been working for years trying to get stuff scrubbed off the internet when all I had to do was pick up a drunken disorderly. Now, let's just say he was a diehard Kamala Harris supporter. Would it really make a difference in the aftermath? You already blame Democrats for everything from gas prices.
We had $1.89 gas under Donald Trump. It cost me $130 to fill up my SUV 2 days ago. People can't afford life anymore.
To shoplifting.
And this is a city, I spent a lot of time in Europe, that is falling apart. I went into literally CVS the other day, and you can't buy Tylenol because it's locked behind these glass counters because there's so much theft and there's so much looting, there's so much homelessness and crime, but yet their attention is going after Donald Trump.
To the current state of bacon.
Because they can't buy bacon.
Bacon is quadrupled.
So people can buy bacon again. They can't afford bacon. It's gone up many times, right? Byron likes bacon. Bacon, it's gone up 100%. Bacon has gone up 5 times. Bacon, where it went up 4 times. Bacon is up 79%. Bacon is up 3 and 4 times. Bacon is through the roof. They're all bacon, where it went up 4 and 5 times. I said, I'd love to have some lovely bacon, darling, but I just had a hot dog, and it was very good.
We see how y'all reacted the first time.
I'm really disgusted because here's why. Just earlier today on a fundraising phone call, and I'll quote, I want to make sure I get it right. Joe Biden told his donors that it's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Well, guess what? That is exactly what someone did today with their rifle as they attempted to assassinate President Trump.
And you wonder why we didn't get your back with Loomer. This doesn't represent the GOP. Oh, really?
I'd like to clarify what you just said. Do you believe that President Joe Biden bears any responsibility for what happened today, or does the responsibility for the shooting lie with the shooter?
I do believe that Joe Biden is responsible for the shooting today, Kyle Clark.
You want to know why there was an assassination attempt against President Trump? It turns out when you create a climate where you say that the election of your rival will lead legitimately in real time to the end of the republic, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, they found a way to squarely blame the Democrats for the first assassination attempt, despite literally every single piece of evidence available. Including their own words.
I better win, or you're going to have problems like we've never had. We may have no country left. It may be our last election. You want to know the truth? People have said that. This may be our last election. You got to get out and vote. This could be our last election.
Which means even though they were absolutely to blame for raising the temperature and throwing out the rhetoric that created the context for the first shooting in Pennsylvania, well, one thing we know, their reaction since then means they're really responsible for raising the temperature and throwing out the rhetoric that created the backdrop for this one.
November 5th is the most important election this country's ever had. Because if we don't win it, I don't know that there'll be another election.
His apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new bomb threats in that town. Our Maggie Vespa is in Columbus, Ohio, with more.
And this was from the same day.
We need to talk about something. This is dangerous. Him doing this is dangerous. Trump is fully aware of how loyal his base is and the fact that they are prone to violence and violent rhetoric. He has spoken out against Republicans in his party that have spoken out against him, and his base has made them their enemy. They have threatened their lives, shown up at their homes. Nancy Pelosi's husband was literally attacked because Nancy wasn't home. You had people on January 6th screaming, "Hang Mike Pence," literally threatening members of Congress behind glass because they could not enter the halls of Congress. He knows how dangerous his rhetoric is when he expresses someone is his enemy. And he just publicly posted in all caps, "I hate Taylor Swift," making her an enemy. This should concern you. And I am holding on to hope that Taylor Swift has incredible security and that she can continue to live a normal life in spite of this horrible human being putting a target on her back, because that is what that message was. And it's a reminder that if Taylor Swift, who is so well known, such a public figure, can put her life quite literally on the line, which is exactly what she did by endorsing Harris and Walz, we can do our part and vote.
Now, because the internet is forever, we know that Ryan Wesley Routh was not black, he was not trans, he was not an immigrant. He was also devoutly anti-vax. We also know he's somebody who voted for Trump in 2016, later saying, "I and the world hoped that President Trump would be different and better than the candidate, but we were all greatly disappointed, and it seems you are getting worse and devolving." He wrote that on X, also adding, "I'll be glad when you're gone." He then went to Tulsi Gabbard for the 2020 election. I would love to hear Tulsi comment on this. Huh? Oh, she literally only comes out to slam Kamala and go at Democrat. That's all she does? But these are her people. He later soured on Gabbard, which is inevitable, for her alignment with Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, writing, "Why don't you go and join Putin and Trump and be their third wheel?" Routh also mentioned Trump in his book. This man wrote a book. He wrote, and it says he got a company. He wrote a book, and he started a company in 2018 called Camp Box Honolulu in Hawaii, which builds storage units in tiny houses. There was a story in the newspaper that said he donated a structure for homeless people. So he wrote a book, and he owns a company, and he got kids. Routh's eldest son told CNN that he was a loving and caring father and an honest, hardworking man. Quote, "I don't know what's happened in Florida, and I hope things have just been blown out of proportion, because from the little I've heard, it doesn't sound like the man I know to do anything crazy, much less violent." So this man wrote a book, owns a company, and has kids that apparently think fondly of him. I really got to level up. Yeah, I ain't been doing nearly as much as I should be. This man got a book and a company with kids. Routh also mentioned Trump in his book, which appears on Amazon without a publisher listed, but it is titled Ukraine's Unwinnable War, the Fatal Flaw of Democracy, World Abandonment, and the Global Citizen, Taiwan, Afghanistan, North Korea, and the End of Humanity. Did he write anything beyond the title? Because that was a whole lot. He eventually threw his 2020 Democratic presidential support behind Bernie Sanders, saying Sleepy Joe, who stands for nothing, no plans, no ideas, just as limp as Hillary. We also know he has an extensive, and I mean extensive, criminal history. Records show more than 100 criminal counts have been filed against Routh just in the state of North Carolina. He was convicted in 2002 of possessing a weapon of mass destruction, according to online North Carolina Department of Adult Correction records. He barricaded himself inside a business with a machine gun in Greensboro. Then in 2003, he was sentenced for driving without a license, carrying a concealed weapon, and hit and run. Then in 2010, he was convicted of possessing stolen goods. He was given probation for all of these charges. Well, it must be nice. I have a question. Despite all of that, he was still able to secure weapons. So I think this would be a great time to bring up people's access to guns. I mean, this is somebody who already has a mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction charge, and you said over 100 counts. So if this is the kind of person that can get a weapon, then perhaps President Trump would have been safer with some common sense. No, we're not doing that. No. Yeah, because if we didn't do nothing in Appalachia and people actually lost their lives. So we definitely not going to do nothing now. We also know he was filmed by Newsweek in 2022 about his effort to recruit mercenaries to fight in Ukraine.
Tell me who you are and why are you here?
56 from the U.S., from North Carolina originally, so live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil.
And the New York Times wrote a profile on Routh back in 2023. You know those make peace with MAGA articles they roll out every few months? What are the odds? We also know that President Trump's schedule isn't publicly available, and this golf outing was apparently a last-minute decision, which raises the question, how did Routh know that he was going to be out there? Now, Deep MAGA is going with a mole inside the Secret Service or the DHS because the call coming from inside the House remains too painful to even imagine.
Once you get on the job, ladies and gentlemen, it's not there. If there was an agent who has been infiltrated and compromised, folks, it is almost impossible that the Secret Service would know. Here, thank you. Put that up on the screen. I'm going to tell you this story again. Media people, get your mother pens out. I was there. Look at this story in The Guardian from 2018. Suspected Russian spy found working at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow.
Now, this is where things get weird. He actually commented on the Trump rally in Pennsylvania back in July. Routh encouraged President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to visit those wounded in the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania, saying, quote, Trump will never do anything. And it gets weirder. People have been able to unearth a BlackRock commercial in which Routh appears.
The purpose of the action is to appeal to what leaders, what organization.
However, it also appears the Butler shooter also appeared in a promotional video associated with BlackRock. This one was an Azov Battalion promotional video.
My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and Honors Economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say, you know, that guy made this place a special place to come to school.
Two last things I know, that conspiracy theorists are going to be busy with this one for months. The last thing I know is that most of us, most sensible citizens of this country should actually feel a debt of gratitude to the Secret Service for moving when they did, and that President Trump is in fact safe, because we want the referendum on Trumpism in November that he deserves. And the last thing we want is for him to be turned into a martyr. Oh, we up. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and especially those of you that have liked and subscribed to the page. Did y'all know I had a website? I know, it's so kind of old-fashioned these days. Yes, I have a website, reesewaters.com. There you'll find my most recent work, but also my past work if you want to know a little bit more about me. You'll also find a portal where you could sign up for my newsletter. You could also sign up by sending me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. You could also send me any suggestions for ideas, something I need to take a look at, or you just want to say hello. And by the way, if you go to the website now, you'll find a little something special. That's right, we got merch. There's mugs there, there's t-shirts there, there's hats there, repping street politics, troubled waters, and of course, Racist of the Week. Where would we be without Racist of the Week? I don't know that I would have any content.